I don't know if you're intimidated or excited or how you're feeling, but
We'll call it excitement.
it's time to get into the excitement of Volume 1 of the Star Road Hall of Fame.
Big things happening here, Sterling.
Big things. This is the first 5, so you see, there's always going to be room for more, but the first 5 is a big thing.
Yep.
So, how about I put the curse of you starting onto you?
All right.
I would like to hear your first entry.
So no honorable mentions this time. We just went clean cut.
It's 5.
5 goats.
And I don't even think the order matters.
It
honestly.
doesn't.
It doesn't.
It really doesn't. They're all in the pantheon, like you said earlier.
Absolutely.
But my number 5, the first thing I want to talk about, already mentioned it this episode. So excited to have it. Super Mario World, Super Nintendo. In my opinion, it's the greatest, 2D Mario experience there is. People will argue for that versus SMB3. I think that you can make a case either way. For my money, Super Mario World, that's my only Mario game, my only pure Mario game on this list. That's my number 1 in the Star Road Hall of Fame on my side, Sterling.
I knew it was coming, and I agree with the pick. And we could really just talk about both of our picks because I'm going to go in first with the perfect time and with Super Mario Bros. 3.
Unbelievable.
The only... Well, I'm not going to get with... Let's talk about the Mario thing. We wouldn't have gotten 2 Super Mario World if it wasn't for 3.
No question.
3 was we always talk about World being the logical next step. And if you would have asked me when I was a kid, World is aeons above everything, right? But as an adult, I have a supreme appreciation for 3. And I can't shake it. I just think it's fantastic. I think it's the game where Mario finally got the world of Mario finally found.
Became what it is.
Yes.
Yeah.
It finally realized, because you got Super Mario Bros., the first one. It is what it is, and it's amazing, but it's primitive and Mario hasn't really gained personality. The world hasn't gained that personality yet.
Yep. Lost Levels / Japan SMB2. No mechanical...
Same representation.
Yeah, no mechanical difference. It's just a much harder, more trolley game of the same...
And the American 2 was a whole nother game.
That was an entirely different game that was almost like a black sheep, just because it was so incredibly different.
I'm a fan of Mario too, but
I'm a big fan of that game.
3 is when they really truly hit the absolute sweet spot.
I agree.
World is just a logical next step, and they're the Mario games, that main series Mario games that deserve to be on the
3
Hall
in
of
World.
Fame.
I completely agree.
3 in World. If there were 2 Hall of Famers for the main line, that's it.
I actually chewed on 64 and Odyssey for my list.
I even thought I thought about them as well, but I also thought about Galaxy. Now, that's not first Hall of Fame,
no,
per se, but
in
I really
future,
do think Galaxy
most of these
brought
will probably
something.
make it in.
Yeah, Galaxy brought something to the table that I think was special. I don't know. Playing it later on and not early.
Yeah.
But I know you got another one for us, Tyler, so how about you fire it off? So far, we've got Super Mario World and Super Mario Bros. 3.
The next one is going to be Age of Empires 2. And I've talked about this as recently as last episode. I'm pretty sure this was on my list for that episode. So I don't want to spend all day talking about this game, even though I could. But this game is from 99. the community is still active. The game is still receiving new content, new updates, new revisions. To this day, they actually just came out with DLC recently, and I think there's more in the pipeline still for a game that's 23 years old. So for me, it's always been there, and it always will be. Age of Empires 2.
Timeless.
Gotta shout it out.
I'm loving it. I'm here for it. And I'm going to throw my PC pick out since you came with the PC pick. And it's Quake. It's Quake.
Absolutely. I mean, if this wasn't on your list, I would have been very confused.
It's got to go in the Hall of Fame. Mine, the Hall of Fame, whatever Hall of Fame it is.
This is the podcast Hall of Fame. It's for everyone.
Oh, but I mean, it was a major milestone in gaming, period.
Definitely.
That's why I say that, you know.
Sure, yeah.
Now, I found my fandom for the game a bit later on, of course, but then again, like I said, I would have never been 4 years old on the PC playing Quake when it came out.
Yeah.
That wasn't a reality in my life, you know.
Yeah.
But it's never too late, like you always say, dude.
That's right.
And here it is in the Hall of Fame. So PC games.
That's right.
So we got 2 Mario games, 2 PC games.
Yep.
That's where we're at.
My next one's a GameCube game.
Oh.
Super Smash Bros. Melee.
Super Smash Bros. Melee, dude. I told you I had a list of 10 or so. Melee was on that list of 10 or so.
I mean,
a lot of these are going to be like collaborative in our minds. And this is definitely a case of that.
Yeah, all of mine, this is really like the pinnacle, like you said, of no particular order, because my list of 5 could literally be in any order whatsoever.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, I mean, what is there to say? It's for a game from 2001, 2 years newer than Age of Empires, by the way, that is also still played to this day. And does not receive any content updates, does not receive any support from its parent company whatsoever, and still continues to thrive despite that, which is almost more impressive than Age of Empires, because Microsoft has picked back up with the game, whereas Nintendo, as far as we know, other than them sending out cease and desists, they don't acknowledge the game's existence. So, yeah, that's pretty much it, man. I think that's impressive that the community still continues to play this game, 21 years later. I mean, it's a lifetime, for some people.
Definitely. Like you said before, I mean, it's the reason that the GameCube controller is still being manufactured. I mean, it's like the sole reason, basically. So it speaks volumes for the game, and it's just one of the many reasons why it should be in the Hall of Fame, brother.
Yeah, and I recently found out that there's a bar near me that does weekly Ultimate and Melee tournaments.
You texted me that.
Yeah. So I am very out of practice on all of the above, but...
hey, we should get some practice in, dude. You can bring the Mew too.
Dude, I'm ready anytime, man. I'm always down to smash anytime. What's your number 3, Sterling?
That's a good clip right there.
Yeah.
Oh, now I want to make a soundboard just because you said that. There had to be a 3D console platformer on the first round of entries.
Yeah, I don't have one.
I have zero shame and zero regret in selecting Ape Escape as that 3D console platformer.
That's a great pick.
I feel like if you know, you just know. Ape Escape is a fantastic game.
Yeah.
I think it has aged gracefully. It was the beginning of... basically the beginning of dual stick gaming on a television.
I mean, it was, yeah.
I mean, I don't know how else to put it, but what a beginning it was. It's just a game I hold in such high regard, and it's in the Hall of Fame. How about that, brother?
It's a great
I
pick.
love Ape Escape. I mean, you know what it is.
I do.
I've talked about the game enough.
Yeah, but it's a great pick, man. I think that's an awesome pick.
It just screams Hall of Fame to me.
My number 2 is probably the most infamous game between you and I. My 2 and my 1 are. You know what it is. Just say it.
Do I know what it is off top?
It's another GameCube game originally. Only for a Nintendo GameCube.
Resident Evil 4.
Has to be.
Sometimes I don't pick things for certain segments because I know Tyler's going to pick them. This may or may not have been one of them.
What can I say about this game, dude? This is the most iconic game that we have probably. I mean, this and you know what is going to end up being my number 1 cumulatively makes up probably 75% of our friendship, like just in volume of conversation.
It's wild, dude.
It's wild. I mean, this game, there's very few games where if it exists on a system, I have to own it for that system if I own the system. No exceptions, like nothing. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
I own this on like 3-4 different platforms, easy. And, you know, it's just one of the greatest games ever made at the base level.
Absolutely.
In my mind.
There's few games I've played through as many times as that game.
Definitely.
Particularly on Pro. I feel like you and I just have...
That's my base. That's my base where I want to be.
Yeah. It's a fantastic game. If you know anything about us, you know it belongs here. The next one I wanted to bring up, we're going a bit further back, but I feel like I'd be doing an injustice to myself and the legacy of this podcast if I didn't bring Tetris up. In my case, it was the Game Boy, but I'd like to include the NES version. Tetris in any iteration in its definitive form. I just consider its definitive form to be Game Boy and NES. Mm-hmm. We've talked about Tetris DS being possibly the ultimate Tetris experience.
That was an amazing game.
Absolutely, but just Tetris in general. It's the first game I played. The second game I played is probably going to be on the next 5. But Tetris had to be on this just for the legacy.
Great pick, man. I mean, that's like the definition of what this list is.
It's what got me into gaming, man.
A lot of people could say that too.
And it's so funny because at the time, it's not like I was alive for the launch of the Game Boy of the DMG. So this was a few years old.
It was after the fact.
Yeah, absolutely.
But it still hit you in the same way as if it had come out that day.
Yeah. So I had a bit of a lag on my exposure. You know, I might be a bit more of an old head than other people our age because of that. Mm-hmm. You know?
Yeah, definitely.
But because of it, Tetris is on the list.
Well, I'll go ahead and get my number 1 out there. Pokemon Gold and Silver. This is the like somehow even more than Resident Evil 4, like the core of our friendship. I mean, this is what our friendship is built on, right? Like from kindergarten, first grade onwards. So yeah, I mean, these are games that still are good to me to this day. I mean, I could pick up and play Gen 2 at any point and feel comfortable with it. I recently started playing through Heart Gold again, which is great. It's not the same, right? Like, you know, not even to be like a Gen 1 or you know, a like, you know, even though it's Gen 2, you know what I mean? Like that sort of mindset of it. But there's something about the music and the graphics of the original Gen 2 games that hits me in such a special place because it's so raw, but it's so high quality. You know what I mean?
Definitely. And I feel like, you see, I'm a Game Boy lover. I mean, that's always going to be just the DMG and just the the old Game Boys are always going to be like my favorite devices, and I feel like silver and gold and just those two games are just the best experience you could ask for on a Game Boy.
Definitely. I'm so excited to see what those games look like on the Super Game Boy.
That's literally what I was going to close off the Gold and Silver talk with was as soon as you get that, you've got to pop in Pokemon TCG, and you've got to pop
I didn't
in
realize
Gold,
TCG
Silver,
was a DMG game.
TCG? I've tried to tell you this before. It is a DMG
I know about
game.
Gold and Silver, obviously.
Yeah. But absolutely, it's one of those black cartridges, and it actually has a special border on the Super Game Boy, like a custom border for
I
trading
can't
card
wait.
game.
I have to play that.
Yeah, so it's going to look better than it ever has, and it's going to have a custom border. That any of the games for Game Boy, if you look on them, that have they have a game pack type of label on them. It says something about like Super Game Boy, you know. They're enhanced on it.
That's awesome.
So like, see, I have Donkey Kong for Game Boy.
Mm-hmm.
That's one of like the prime examples of a game that like the definitive way to play it is on the Super Game Boy. They make it to where the true graphical potential lies within the Super Game Boy for certain games.
That's so hype.
Game Boy.
I didn't even I didn't even realize this. So I definitely still have my
There's
copy.
actually custom borders on the Super Game Boy.
Yeah,
There's
I didn't know that.
A lot of presets you could draw on the screen. Like there's features to the Super Game Boy.
That's awesome.
It's really not just like when you play the Game Boy game, you kind of have like a menu.
I can't wait to try it out. I've never used one in my life.
There's a reason that it's like my favorite accessory, dude.
Yeah. I'm really excited I have one.
The TV Game Boy. You should be excited. But does this leave just my number one?
It sure does.
Super Mario RPG Legend of the Seven Stars.
The one thing that I am going to have to track down for my collection.
This is one that I'm going to be honest with you, Tyler. This is the Super Nintendo game that you have got to own.
I don't have a way to play it beyond emulation otherwise.
And it's so funny I say that even without that being the case. But yeah. And I said it before. Before when I tried to emulate the game just to play it on an emulator. I mean, I own the cartridge, but I was playing it on an emulator. I felt like every time I try to play it on a ROM, it would freeze somewhere at Boomer's Castle. I don't know what's up with that.
Not sure. I would rather just play the original, but didn't you say the cartridge is getting up there?
The cartridge is like between 100 and 120.
I'm not spending that. I'm going to have to find a deal.
But
that's,
you have to get one without a label.
I'm not above it. I'm going to be honest with you. I want to play the game.
I couldn't bring myself to get a game without a label.
It depends on how good the deal is, right?
Yeah. I definitely am always about some personality, some wear on a cartridge, you know.
Definitely. I mean, that's the way to order. A tear is not or just a label missing or shredded is not something I would normally go for. But if the game is at a deep discount on something that I want that I can't reasonably justify purchasing otherwise, you know, but I don't think I would get it on a deep enough discount to make it worth it for this particular game.
It's a shame that there's no digital way to play this because this is one of the greatest games of all time. And it's kind of weird to look back and think that things like Pokemon, of course, but this game really put me into the Square Enix, Final Fantasy, everything we talk about. This game really just pulled me completely into all of it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like this is the one. And it's a perfect way to do that because you have someone like me who's a child who's a fan of Mario. Then somehow I wind up with this game. I don't even remember how I wound up with it, but I had it all through childhood, you know. I still have the copy gladly or happily because I'm not going to pay 120, even me. So it's just sad that there's no way to play it officially, but maybe they'll change that. Who knows?
We've heard speculation, but haven't seen much official on the subject, even as Square Enix and Nintendo have really gotten cozy with each other as of late. Like,
you know, it's funny. I know this is the Hall of Fame, but I wanted to randomly mention I saw they announced Kingdom Hearts 4 this morning.
Oh,
I was
really?
taking a shit. I watched the trailer. Yeah.
Nice. Does it look interesting? No comment. TBD.
TBD. I'm not sure. I haven't played the third one.
I haven't played.
I have no idea what's going on in the Kingdom Hearts universe.
I haven't played much of them. I've played the first one a little bit and the second one a little bit, but other than that, I'm pretty ignorant of the franchise.
All the way through one, multiple times through Chain of Memories, and a little bit of two. Mm-hmm. That's where I'm at.
Yeah.
Big fans of all of them that I played, but the final 10 for today's entries has been laid down.
Carved in stone.
10 games in the vault, dude.
Yep.
And it's this is one I don't think we're ever gonna look back and think, oh, I should have picked blank. I think this is gonna be a pinnacle.
No,
you know?
There's games that I know will be on the short list for the next time around, but I can't see replacing anything on this list.
Never. And it makes it so interesting because not that we're going to do them frequently, but when we do them, every time we do one, I find we're going to surprise each other more and more.
Well, yeah, because the pool gets more and more limited, right? These 10 games are now gone.
Like a lot of your list is shit that would have been next round for me.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously,
RE4,
I'm going to pick Super
Pokemon.
RE4.
Yeah.
And obviously, I'm going to pick Super Mario World also, along with 3. So, that just simplifies it, dude. It's a collaborative thing, and I'm feeling pretty strongly about it.